this video, I'm going to show you how to mod Samurai vs Zombies Defense 1 for pretty much any platform using Unity 2017. This has been highly requested as thanks to the Unity compilation by Zwerons, people are getting back into playing Samurai vs Zombies Defense and are interested in modding it. So in this tutorial, I will be showing you how to download Unity 2017 first of all, how to enable the official cheat menu that the devs themselves used, how to import models, import textures, import sounds, how to edit the data so that you can change your hero, add new allies, add new zombies, add new waves, and then of course export your game to iOS, Android, PC, macOS, and whatever else you can get to work with Unity. Before I start, however, I want to just give a shout out to the Samurai vs Zombies Defense Discord server. Besides discussing the game, we also discuss how to mod it. There's a wiki as well you can check out. So if you yourself are a fan of the Samurai vs Zombies Defense franchise, then definitely come check us out. Without further ado, the first thing you need to do is go and search for Unity 2017 on google.com. Now, I personally used Unity 2017.4.40. It should be the top result when you type this, but if you don't, you can of course do a more specific search and it will come up. Now, the reason we used the 2017 version of Unity is because the game itself was made in 2013, and due to how Unity has kind of changed, I think its effects and texture system is the main issue. You have to use a slightly older version to work. So whether you're on Windows, macOS, or Linux, I use Windows, so I'll click Windows, get the setup, click on the setup, go through all the stuff, and you should have it ready to go. I will also just quickly add here that you have some component installers. So you have Android build support, iOS build support. You will need these if you want to export your game for different platforms, but more on that later. Once you have Unity installed, you can go ahead and open it. You should get a nice little splash screen, and then it should open up with your version here. So again, 2017.4.40, and then you should be able to see all your projects. As you can see here, I already have 4 projects loaded up, and if you have used Unity before, you may also see your other projects. For example, I have this fan game I'm working on for Unity 6, which is the latest version of Unity. And you can see it is different there. But what you'll want to do as a first-time installer is, before doing anything, go ahead to the Samurai vs Zombies decompilation by Zwerons and Co. I will of course link this in the description, but you can see it's part of the decomp and recomp initiative. And if we go to the Samurai vs Zombies project, this is it. This is everything you need for the Unity. And also, just by the way, in case you are unaware, the game is released here as well, and you can just download it and play it on both Android and PC. But since we want to mod the game, what you want to do is go to the green little thing here where it says clone, open, or download. Of course, we want to download a zip. So we're going to go ahead, downloads, save that, and then we have the source code downloading to our computer. Now, particularly if you have used Git or GitHub before, you may want to fork the project just so you kind of have the connection to the original, as I have over here with my version, and then you can modify it to your heart's content. The project isn't that big, so there you go, it's finished now. It's about 300 megabytes. Once it's downloaded, just go to your downloads folder, open up the zip, extract it however you want. Do remember to extract it. A lot of people don't know how to extract zip files. Just right click and your operating system should take it from there. It will of course take a while to unzip as there are a lot of files, since it is the source code for the entire game. And once it is done, there you go, you will have your folder with the project, and it should be called, if you got the right one, Samurai vs Zombies main. And then you can see this is everything. These are all the files. I even have the videos here that were included in the project. So very cool. Let's go ahead and open this in Unity. Just go back to your Unity little hub thing, click on open, go ahead and find the Samurai vs Zombies project. This is the root folder because it has everything inside. So just go here, click on select folder, and then it will load its stuff. This will take a moment, and you will probably see Unity pop up and then disappear a few times, but don't worry, it is importing. Just have to be patient. Now is a good time to mention that if you are facing any issues while following this tutorial, I highly suggest you go ahead and find me specifically on the Samurai vs Zombies Defense Discord server. That is also linked in the description. I am there. I am always available to answer questions. Just go ahead and shoot me a ping, and I or someone else in the community should be able to help you out. I would also like to note that it only takes this long when you first set up the project. Once you have it set up and open it in the future, it should load a lot quicker. Alright, it is finally finished, and this is basically what your Unity should look like. So first of all, just a little tour of Unity. You can see down here we have all our files, which is where everything we're concerned with our project is. Let's say I click on the Glu logo. You can see on the right I have my inspector, which is basically where I can set the settings for each file that I have. You can see that apart from these files, I have all these folders, which also store various things. Scripts are, of course, the actual programming in C# that you will have to edit if you want to change the game's code. In this tutorial, I will not be showing you how to code because it can get quite complicated, but just know that if you ever want to look at something, you can just double click and open it in your local code editor. We also have a scenes folder, which contains basically the different areas of the game, let's say. The first one that we want to open is the intro movie, and then if we go ahead and click on play up here, you can see that it switches the game and it plays the Glu logo intro. Now you can also see that it has now switched the scene here from input movie to story movie, which is down here, as you can also see. And if I click to skip the intro, it takes me to the main menu, which of course we will all recognize. And then I can click start game, and I can play through the game in Unity. I can preview everything in the editor itself. So just click the play button again to stop, and let's go ahead to the main menu. So right now it doesn't look like much because we were in the scene editor. To give you an idea of how scenes actually work, let me go ahead to in-game. This is the default map for the game, and if we just zoom out, you can see we have the model and everything in the scene editor. These are all of the different components in the scene. So let's say I want to get the gate. I probably just click on it and it will take me here to PF gate, and then I can move this around if I want to. You can see I have a bunch of components in the expector. I won't go into too much detail with these, but you got like animations, the scripts that are attached. You can change these. And right now we are in the scene view. If we switch to the game view, we can see what it looks like from the game's perspective. However, if we press play, you will notice that you can't actually play the game properly. Here, I'm just in a static screen. I can't click on anything because none of the buttons are activated yet. My hero, however, has spawned. You can see the samurai. And if I go back to the scene view, you can see that he is here, frozen in time. Anyway, enough introductions. Let's get to work. The first thing on our menu is enabling the cheat menu. If you go back to your scenes folder and scroll down a bit, you should be able to find the cheats scene. As we can see here, if I try to run it, you can see that I have a cheat screen with all of the game's cheats. This is currently on my actual save for the game. So you can see I have 5,455 coins, I have 1 gem, I'm on wave 45, you can see my hero levels and all this stuff. So before I mess around with any of these, if you yourself also have save data, I suggest you first make a backup of your save. Now this does differ for different operating systems, but on Windows, to find your save file, go to this PC, open your hard drive, scroll down to users, find your username of course, scroll down again to find your app data folder. You will notice that it's kind of transparent here, because it is a hidden file. So if you are on Windows 11, make sure to go here to the view settings, go down to show, and then you should see an option for hidden items. If I disable this, you will see that app data has disappeared and I can't find it. But if I go ahead again and show it, then you can see it has come back. I also recommend that in the same show settings, you show your file name extensions, as that is extremely useful if you are a developer of any software, because it shows you if a file is .png, .jpg, .mp4, all these useful indicators. So go ahead and open up data, go to local low, scroll down to Zwerons, who is the leader of the decomp and recomp projects. Find the Samurai vs Zombies folder. If we open it, you can see that you have your pre-save data, save load data, all the save data related to your profile. If we go back to the Zwerons folder, you can see that I have 2 folders because I have already made a backup. And to make another backup, all you have to do is go ahead and give it any different name from Samurai vs Zombies. So I'm going to call it Samurai vs Zombies Vanilla, right? So this is my vanilla gameplay file. And now go to the intro movie scene, which, keep in mind, is the scene you always want to start on when starting the game, because to give a very quick explanation, when you open the intro movie scene, it kind of activates all of the game's loading and all that stuff to make sure that the game's actually ready to play. So always come to the intro movie scene, press play, go through the intros, you can click to skip, and then you have your game loaded here. And now, if I go back to my folder, you will see that I have automatically created a new Samurai vs Zombies save. So this means that we are now free to edit our data. Right now, what we are doing is in the scenes folder, we're just opening cheats and running it without having actually initialized, is the official term, the game first. So I can do some things like add coins, add gems, and even set my wave to 41, but I am unable to add more hero levels and unlock some things just yet. So to activate our cheats menu in game, go to scripts, go to assembly C#, scroll down. Just take note that you will pass the cheats implicit folder, which stores the code for the actual cheat scene. As you can see, if I go to my scene editor and click on the impl, it is indeed here, attached as a script. So if you ever want to modify the cheats menu, this is where you would do it. But what we need is to keep on going down until we find main menu impl. Let's go ahead and open that up. This is the only script that we will be editing in this video. Now, you are free to open this in whatever code editor you want. Personally, I use Visual Studio Code because it is lightweight, cross-platform, and just generally works perfectly fine. You may be fine just using normal Notepad, like I have here. Although keep in mind that if you want to have your syntax highlighting, which is what gives you different colors for different things, then I recommend you use a proper code editor. But once you have the script open, just scroll down until you find the word cheats. You can basically see here that it is applying the cheats button to this thing, and this code here is what makes the cheat screen visible. But as you can see here, this is set to work if debug is debug build, but this has been commented out so that it is always false. And what that means is that this code here never happens. And instead, we get that the cheats button is not visible. In other words, it never shows up. So the most simple way to get the cheat screen to show is to simply change this false to a true. True, true. Then make sure to actually save our script. So Control S or File, Save. Go back to our intro movie scene, click play, and we will see that in the main menu, we have a little coin here that pops up in the left side. And this is our cheats menu. So let's just click on it. And you can see we have now opened our cheats. I can add coins, I can add levels, I can go up in my waves, like here. And then there is no button to go back, but if you press escape, it should take you back to the main menu like this. And now we can see that I do indeed have 504 levels on my samurai hero. And if I go back here, I should be on wave 70. And look at that, I can now choose what wave I want to go to. Let's restart just to make sure that it actually saved. So again, start game, classic mode, and well, yep. And sure enough, we indeed have the values stored. And there is a lot we can do here. We can unlock all of the allies. We can unlock all of the gift allies. We can buy all these packs to give us a bunch of rewards. You can see that my pachinko balls are going up. And then if you go back, we do indeed have all these allies unlocked. Now, another important note, if you go to Zombies Rising, you will see that none of this has applied to my zombie hero yet. So if you want to give yourself more stuff in Zombies Rising, just go to the Zombies Rising shop, then go back to the main menu, click on the coin again, and you will see that it has changed your current mode to zombies, and now you can change your stuff there. So again, here levels, I can unlock all these abilities, or just go up in waves. So I think wave 30 is the max wave. Unlock the Necromancer, all these packs. And now, once again, if I go back, I do indeed have everything maxed out. I can go to whatever wave I want to. And there you go. We have unlocked all the game's content using the cheats menu, and now you are free to explore the games to your heart's content. And the observant of you may have also noticed a reset button. So if I go ahead and open the cheats menu, look at that. If I click reset, I get all my stuff back to 0. And then if I go back to the game, Zombies Rising, you can see I have nothing. And you can see that it has reset my progress for both modes, so I don't need to go back and do all that stuff. So that is the easiest way to re-enable the cheats menu and access it whenever you want. In fact, you will also notice that if I go ahead and let's say add all these coins to my account, all these levels, and I'm actually going to go to the game I have downloaded, I'm going to open the actual game itself. So I'm going to launch it here. It's going to give me my configurations. I'm going to press play. And if I click on start game, you will see that my progress has saved. It is the same between my Unity project and here. However, what hasn't saved is the changes I made to my code. The only thing that goes here to your main game is your save progress. All the stuff inside these folders here. This is the only stuff that goes to this game. If you change your scripts, if you add stuff, you know, like if you mod the game basically, it won't show up here because I need to export it from Unity. Which is why you can't see the cheats menu button here, even though we had it in the other place. But there is one more thing regarding the cheats menu that I want to show you. Look at my game here, and in the top right corner you will see 3.4.0, which of course is the version number of the game. However, once again, those observant of you You may have noticed that if I open the game in Unity, it is a bit small, but here it does say 3.4.0D, and the D stands for debug. Generally speaking, when you are developing a video game, you have your release build and your release mode, and you have your debug build or your debug mode. And when we are in the Unity editor, the debugging mode is set to true. We are in debugging mode, whereas when we are in the game, the actual game, then we are not in debugging mode, and therefore we don't see the D. So if we go back to our script, you may recall that we have this code commented out. If I just uncomment it by deleting this stuff around it, we can see we have if debug is debug build, then show the screen. This means that normal players will not see the cheats menu, but the developers of the game can access the cheats menu. And this is useful to have if you're making your game and you want to test stuff by giving yourself more money, by setting what level you're on, by resetting your data. You can do all these things to test the game, and then when you actually export it and give it to other players, then you can hide the cheats menu from them so that they cannot also cheat, because that's no fun. So now if I go back and click play, you can see that I still have access to the cheats menu because once again, we are indeed in debug mode. And that's it for the cheats menu. But so far, I've only showed you how to cheat. I haven't showed you how to actually mod the game. Let's start with the most simple form of modding, which is just file swapping. If I go to my videos folder, for instance, and let's say I take this video, which is 1280p, which is perfect because as you can see here, the SvZ rough video is also 1280p. I'm just gonna go ahead and drag that in. It shows up here as a video file, and then, and this is important, I cannot just rename the file to be the same as this one. No. What I have to do is go back to my scenes, find the story movie scene, which has this video. Go to the impl object, and on the right, you can see I have the video clip set here. And you can see that if I click on this, it will take me to the file. However, if I simply rename this, so let's say I call it SvZ rough 2 or something like that, and then go back to my impl, you will see that it has automatically updated the thing here as well. So simply renaming the file is not going to be enough. What I have to do is go down over here to my file and simply just drag it in to the video clip instead, and it will replace itself. And then just Control S to save the scene, or right click and save scene. You may also have noticed that down here I have my video playing over here. If I switch to the game tab, you can see that that's where I stopped the project. If I were to now rerun this, it should play my new video instead. To further prove that this actually works, I'm gonna go back to my intro movie. Let's see the Glu intro play first. And then when it finishes, it should play this instead. And then if I click, there we go. These same rules basically apply to editing any file. However, that does mean that if you want to change specific things, you also need to know where they are attached to. So if I wanted to replace the Glu logo intro, I would have to know that I need to go here to movie player, and then I can find them here, and then I can replace them with different videos. In this tutorial, I will not be showing you how to replace every different kind of file in the game because that would take forever, but just keep in mind that you will probably need to do a bit of exploring by yourself to find what you're looking for. To show another example of file replacing, let's go ahead to our resources folder, which is where all of the game's, actual assets are stored. Inside, you will see a bunch of folders like characters, common, fonts, effects, layouts, levels, materials, props, registry, shaders, sounds, sprites, text, and textures. A lot of folders, and you should become familiar with every single one of them depending on what you want to do. Let's say I want to change the hero's icon from the Samurai vs. Zombies 1 version to the Samurai vs. Zombies 2 version. Well, to do this, I would have to go to the sprites folder, open it up, go to icons. Down here at the bottom of the right of the file viewer, I can slide this to change the size. So since I want to see the icons, I will have them like this. I will then scroll down until I find the hero's icon, which is towards the bottom. Here you go, Hero 01. I can open it in my image viewer. We can see the beautiful crispy quality of the texture. And then if I want to import a new texture, I have to get the texture that I want. So here is the samurai here from the second game. Just drag it in, and then I'm not going to delete this one, and I will show you why in a second. Instead, I'm going to just have this as an additional texture, but it isn't ready yet, and that is because if you look at the inspector here, these are the settings of the original texture, and these are the settings of the new one. And the main thing that has changed is these advanced settings here. So if I just look at the upgrade bell for comparison, pay close attention here because you will need to do this for every single texture that you import into this game. There are 3 main settings we need to change between the original texture and the new one. Number 1, go to your wrap mode settings down here and change it from repeat to clamp. Then down here at the very bottom, change the compression from normal quality to none. And then up here under the advanced drop down, go ahead and untick generate bitmaps, which will also hide all the other stuff. And then do not forget to also go down here and click apply to then set these settings. One more very important detail to note. Yes, I dragged the texture from this folder here. However, if I go ahead and click on show in Explorer, you will see that my file in Unity has been moved to a different folder. This is in my Samurai vs Zombies 1 mod, whereas the other file that I dragged was here in a completely different place. So it has created a duplicate of my Samurai hero texture, and it's now in a different location. If I move this one or rename this one, it will have no effect on here. The same also goes for the video I imported here. You will see that it is now inside my project and is different from the one I have over here. Okay? They are not connected, they are separate, so if you want to change one of them, then just keep that in mind. Now, it's also a good time to note that you are technically able to show your project in your Explorer and then change things here, but I highly recommend that you do not touch your project here at all. And the reason for that is Unity has these things called meta files. Meta files contain metadata about the files themselves, which is really important for Unity to know what to do with a file. And let's say, for example, I want to move my file to a different folder. You can see that it has also moved the meta file with it. Whereas if I move the video in my file explorer, Unity will reload. And now if I go back to the story movie scene, I can see that the video clip here is missing. Let's say I did the same for this icon that I just made. Let's show it in the explorer, drag it to my sprites folder. Okay, go back to Unity so it refreshes. Okay, now it's gone. But I'm like, ooh, that was a mistake. Let me put it back. Control Z. Okay, go back to my icons folder, scroll down. Okay, it's still there. I guess everything is fine, right? It is clear to see that all these settings I set before have now been completely reset, and then I have to do it again. So clamp, minmaps off, compression off, apply. So if you ever have a reason to drag files here in your file explorer or your finder, instead of inside Unity, drag the file and its corresponding meta file together. Okay, if I launch my game now and go to the start menu and then go to classic mode, I can see that my icon hasn't changed because although I have imported the new image, I haven't actually changed the code for it to appear here. Thankfully, this game is actually really easy to mod because for whatever reason, the developers made it extremely modular. You can mod so much in this game without even opening a single C# script. So if you want to specifically replace the icon of a hero or an ally, the place you want to go is the registry folder where all of the game's data is stored in, get this, TXT files, simple text files. I can just right click, edit in Notepad, and there you go. The file's there, and I can change whatever I want. I want to change the hero's icon, so I'm gonna go to heroes, hero samurai, and then here I have pretty much all of the data for my samurai hero, including, as you can see, the icon, which has a path to the image texture. So if I go back to my Unity project, you can see that in sprites, icons, and then my file is called samurai hero. If I go ahead and just copy this, sprites, icons, samurai hero, save, and we can see that my icon has indeed taken effect. But something seems a bit off. The most perceptive of you may just realize that my icon's a bit too big. If I open the original texture in File Explorer, I can see that it has dimensions 115 times 115. Whereas if I scroll down to my text to my icon here, its dimensions are 256 times 256. And that's because Samurai vs Zombies 2 uses much higher quality graphics than the first game. So the best thing that you can do is open the image in whatever editing software you want to. For Windows 11, you can literally just go up here to the 3 dots, click on resize image, and then set it to 115, save. I do now have the option to change this to none, which you should because the other files also have it to none. And then now if I run the game, I can see that the icon is exactly the size that I want it to be. At this point, I would suspect you are curious about the registry folder I just showed earlier on. If we look at our hero samurai.txt again, we can see that we can change the display name, description, its icon, the prefab, which I will talk about later. You can change all the stats like his cost, health, the speed of the samurai. For instance, let's say I set this to 3000 at max level. If I now try running, you can see that I move quite quickly. In fact, it even increases my animation speed, which is quite funny. And the exact same is true if I want to edit the hero zombie. If I want to change my base settings, the warding bell settings, I can change the charm settings here as well. I can change the enemy stats. If I go to my helpers folder, which by the way, helpers are allies, I can change the stats of the farmer, for instance, and it really opens the game up to any kinds of rebalancing. I should also note that if you look at the cost settings over here, on the left you have the cost in coins, whereas on the right you have the cost in glue coins. And you're probably questioning why all of these have weird display name things. The place you want to go is the text folder here towards the bottom, and then you have the different languages listed out. I want to edit English, which is just default. For some reason, the hero samurai's name isn't actually used in game, I don't think, but we can change the description. So if I just Control C, I will search for my ID by Control F, Control V, hero desk, go down. Let's change it to something else, like, I don't know, Texas chicken. And then if I click on this thing over here, I can see that indeed the text has changed. It's a bit small, but it does in fact say Texas chicken. If you wanted to, you could even add something else, like, I don't know, like hero desk 2 equals I am the one, and then copy this ID instead, put it here, and then if you launch the game and run it, it should say that instead. You will notice that tags start with this @ symbol, which signifies to the game that you want to get something from these dictionaries. If you wanted to, you could just do it like this instead and just edit it directly, which will save you a bit of time, but that of course means that it won't work for other translations. Now, those of you who saw Zueron's update video, where he showed off some mods for Samurai vs. Zombies defense, you probably noticed that he was able to make the allies heroes. To change the hero's model, you want to go here to the prefab section of the hero's txt file, and here you have characters / and then the prefab thing. If I go there in my actual Unity project, so resources, characters, and scroll down, you will see a bunch of files with the prefix PF. PF stands for prefab, and a prefab is essentially a term used in Unity and maybe other game engines, I don't know, for objects like these are objects that you drag down into your editor to use for later. So if I drag my main camera here, for instance, you can see that now I have my object here, but it has been stored as an actual file within my project. And then if I want to, I can just drag this into my scene if I want to use it whenever I want to, and you can see that, look at that, there's my Chochinobake just in my scene, and I can move it around and do whatever I want with it. So all of these are prefabs, and as you can see down here, I have PF Hero 01, which is the same prefab here because it is my samurai. If I drag it in, and then click on it, you can see that, look, there's my samurai. I can play with his animations like that. There are also, interestingly enough, costumes for the samurai. You can see here that I have the July 4th outfits. He has a hat, different outfit, different textures, and I can change it here to PF Hero July. We can see that now I'm using a different costume for my samurai. Uncle Sam, that's right. And there's also an Olympics one for the Olympics event. But what if we wanted to play as the farmer? Well, then we would do PF Farmer, save, run our project, and then look at that. I can play as the farmer. I can move backwards, forwards, and then I can attack like that. I can even use abilities. There you go. I am playing as the farmer. Although a very overpowered one, but a farmer nonetheless. And this applies to pretty much any entity that has a prefab. And the reason this works is that prefabs, as you can see here, not only do they have the models intact, so if I open it up, you can see not only does it have the models and the skeleton, here I have the mesh and the texture, but it also has the animations, and it has a bunch of scripts attached to it that lets it work. In fact, let's say I wanted to make the samurai an ally. Well, I could just go here and replace farmer with Hero 01, and then I would have my samurai hero instead of the farmer, but that's no fun. let me show you how to add new allies to the game right now. First things first, go back to Unity, go to project, go down to the registry folder. Rather than create a new file, let's just control and drag this to get a duplicate. Here's Farmer 1. Let's rename it to Samurai Hero. Open it up. All this stuff, let's call it Samurai, the Mighty Samurai prefab, of course, just here's 01. Let's change the icon to the Samurai Hero icon that we imported before, and then let's just keep all these stats the exact same. But we are not finished. Scroll up, go to the all helpers txt file, and make sure to add it as a new one. So I think it's called Samurai Hero. Make sure it has the exact same name as the file that you've created, and then save. Go out to the project. So if I go to my list of allies, you can see that I have it here. Level up Samurai is level 2. Let's upgrade him a bunch. And this guy is different from this guy. For the record, as you will see right here, I can select my allies. So let's choose the Samurai. And the interesting thing here is that the code is basically set up in such a way. All of this stuff you see here is kind of automatically handled. Because in the first Samurai vs. Zombies game, there aren't any special allies that do like particularly special things. I mean, you have the swordsmith and the riflesmith, who obviously give buffs, right? And in the second game, you have like Rocky T-Man. But for the most part, every single ally is either they attack with a sword or they shoot with a projectile. Which means that if you want to create an ally, all you have to do is give the game a prefab to use, give it stats. So for example, if it's a melee character, then you have to give it melee damage, and then therefore it will do melee attacks. If you wanted to do ranged attacks, if I look at the archer, for instance, it has a weapon ranged prefab, which is different from the melee prefab, and then just add like range damage and all that stuff. If I just play the game here, you can see that I am playing as the farmer, and I can summon the Samurai Hero, just like that. And there you go, he's running in, he's the same speed as a farmer, no more. He just died, which is great. But there you go. Let's go ahead and give him a ranged weapon, because as we know, he does indeed shoot arrows. The Samurai Archer, just copy this. Let's copy these stats here. So bow range and bow damage and projectile. We're going to use all of these and give it to this guy. Let's also buff his health so that he doesn't die immediately. When I summon him, he should be moving a lot faster. Yeah, there you go. That's a normal speed. He uses his arrow in hand, and when he gets to your enemies, he should be shooting them. Or not. Okay, well, he's gonna use a sword. I gave the stats to the wrong person, so let me just change that and give it to the Samurai Hero. Not to confuse it with the Samurai Ally. And let's try again. And hopefully he does range attack. He does. Perfect. And then if they get closer, he should switch to melee attack. Okay, let's say the melee range is a bit longer. So let's say it's like 150. And I guess just in general, some advice I can give in this tutorial is that you are unlikely to get things to work perfectly the first time, every single time. So if you want to create your own mod, especially if it changes a lot of things, then definitely have patience. And if you ever forget any details for how to do things, you can of course watch this tutorial again and skip to the parts you need. And of course again, you can find me and other people who can help you on the Samurai vs. Zombies Defense Discord server. I cannot recommend that enough. And now they should switch to melee attack. Yep, there you go. Okay, we got knocked back, unfortunately, but you can see that I have added the Samurai Hero as an ally. And for the record, the exact same applies to adding new enemies to the game. Just go down to enemies, and you can create a new entry. So let's say I want to add another Tochinobake, right? I could do like this. I could do Tochinobake Supreme, give it 1,000 health, a bunch of damage, you know, infinite range, and then I would copy the ID and put it into my waves. So there's a lot you can do with this game just from editing these registry files. And the last thing I will show you from the registry is adding new waves. So let's go ahead and add a new wave 71. Go back to registry, go to waves, scroll down, and then just create a copy of this one. Again, you can control and drag to duplicate in Unity. It's already called wave 71, perfect. Let's open it up. It takes place in hell. Let's change the location. Let's say I want to go back to the first place in the game. So the in-game is the scene name. And for the record, the scene name also applies the same as here. So again, you have in-game evil, you have all these different options. If you want to, you can create your own scenes by creating new scenes. And then of course, in the Unity editor, change things around, Maybe you want to change the colors of stuff, add some other obstacles, and then you would think that this is enough, right? Well, let's go ahead and run the game. Now, if I go forward, you can see that I have wave 70 here, but I don't have an option for wave 71 anywhere. Yeah, I do have wave 71 unlocked. Then here, I'm on wave 71. So I can access the wave, it exists, but I can't get to it through the wave select. Once again, go back to your registry folder and go ahead and find the play modes option. Now, this contains kind of like the big general information about the game. You can see that here I can change the hero. So like, let's say I want to change it to the hero zombie. So now you can already see in the shop that I'm using the zombie hero. All these stats from the zombie hero are also copied. So this is a different description. It says the undead's greatest champion. I have the human samurai's sword. He is backwards because of how the model is flipped. If you want to have him face the other way, you have to like flip his model. I can summon my samurai hero. And now we can fight together, side by side. Here, I'm playing from the right side of the screen instead. So now I'm facing the correct way. And if I summon my allies, they come out normally. Some stuff will be backwards, because again, like they're facing the other way, because they're meant to be rotated. And for the waves, which is the main thing we want to change here, you can change the wave's path. So like, let's say I wanted to keep the original waves, but add like another mode. I could do like wave ultra, for like an ultra mode or something like that. And here you can also see like the difference between the classic and the zombie rising mode. So like obviously the enemies for the zombies mode are different, so that changes. The waves, as I just showed, are different, but that file does not contain any information for adding more waves. So the file you want to go to is chapters.txt, again in registry, and then here you have the different quote-unquote chapters. And let's say I wanted to add another one, Back to Black. That's a terrible name, but whatever. And then I can add my information for it. So, Back to Black, its display name will be called Back to Black. Let's say the icon is the same as the first place, so summer. And then the most important part is the waves range. So it's 71 to 71, because so far we only have one wave. And this is once again a good reminder that modding takes patience. I made a typo here. It said waves rage. If I go back, open this, I can see I'm on wave 71. Ba-ba, ba-boom. I can add more waves if I want to. And there you go. I could add 100 waves if I wanted to. And one final note I will leave for the registry folder in general is down here you will see a registry file list, which links like literally everything. I'll just note that you don't have to edit this. As far as I'm aware, they stopped using this file back in version 1 even. So if you add new files, you do not need to add to this. Don't worry, you don't have to add to this. You can basically just ignore it. And the version file as well, like here's 1, but clearly this hasn't been used since version 1. So don't worry about this either. And just keep in mind that anything with like, ZM is for the zombies mode. So if you want to edit the stuff for the zombies mode, as you've seen me do right now, for the heroes mode, for the classic mode, then you can just do that. Yeah, and like you got bonus waves. Bonus waves work a bit funkily, and if you want to change that, you need to like edit the code, but that's something that you can play around with yourself if you want to. I actually do have a mod that's out right now that lets you choose your heroes, but it's not easy because it requires you to like import assets from the second game, and it's quite complicated. So not for this video, but I definitely encourage anyone who is interested to give it a try and you might learn something. Before I move on to the final folder I want to show you, I just want to give you a brief summary of all of these resource folders. Characters, like I said before, just has the prefabs and the files for the characters. So for the farmer, for instance, you have a bunch of like animation prefabs, the animations themselves, animation tags, their materials, which contain the different textures for the farmers, and the mesh as well as here. And then those are all packaged into one object with a prefab over here, which you can drag into your game view to edit and all that good stuff. What you might want to know is that the mesh stuff is all here on the lower spine of most characters. The mesh is like the model itself, and the material, which you also attach over here on the materials. The material is, it contains a texture that you can change. So like, let's say I wanted to change it to the zombie costume, or like the alts, like you can edit those as well and mod them. And then you have to put the texture, which is an image by the way, inside a material. And the materials, you can just do create material, change the shader to match this. So this is legacy shaders, so yeah, you do legacy shaders / diffuse, and then set it here, and then you can add your own. And then inside the prefab settings, you could just change that here as well to whatever you want. So if I want the farmer zombie one, there you go. You can see it has like special glow settings, and you can like mess with that as well. And then to save your edits, it should be automatic. I think just click apply, and then it will update. The next folder is common, which has nothing, so just ignore it. There's a fonts folder where you can add more fonts. You have the effects folder, which also has a bunch of prefabs for different effects. You could of course mess around with that, you know, add some cool effects to the game, like this explosion. The levels folder is a bit misleading. You don't use it to add waves or anything like that. It just contains a bunch of assets that appear in like the stage. So like for example, here I have a prefab for the building. You can see that this is the same building that's in the map, and you can mess with this as well to change the look of stuff. And whatever. Next is our materials folder, which is empty, so just ignore it. The props folder contains weapons and stuff, so if you want to modify existing weapons or add new ones, then this is the place to do it. The shaders, if you are at all skilled with shaders, then you can mess around with these shader scripts. They do follow their own Unity shader programming language, so if you want to expand the game's graphics and shaders, then definitely mess around with that. You have a sounds folder with all of the game's audio. The sprites folder, as I showed before, just has a bunch of textures and images for the game's GUI, the graphical user interface. So basically anything that's like 2D and on the screen and not actually in the 3D game, because that stuff is in the textures folder, which for example, if I go to the hero, you can see I have these different hero textures, and you would replace these or add new ones for like new costumes and looks and stuff like that. In fact, you even have the original beta samurai texture here. There are also textures for effects like the coin texture, if you want to change that to something more historically accurate. You have once again like the textures for the level stuff, so like plants and stuff that you can change if you want to, and props like weapons and all that good stuff. Outside of the resources folder, go to the prefab folder, and here you will find all of these sound effects links. Let's take the archer, the bowman. If you go to the sound theme script components and open the events, and then spawn, and then clips, you can see that the spawn clips are here, and there's code for like the randomization and stuff like that, which is cool to play around with if you want to add more sound effects or modify the existing ones. And then last but not least, inside the resources folder, there's also a layouts folder. Editing these is very similar to editing the registry, and basically they're in charge of the actual UI layouts. This is best explained with an example, so let's open the start screen layout, which is our title screen, by the way. Let's find the title over here, and I'm going to shift its position to, let's say, 380. You can clearly see that the title here has been moved, and you can do the same for all the other different menus. You will notice that some of these have Android versions. So we are almost at the end of our tutorial. To finish off, let me show you how to export. Just go to File, Build Settings, and here you will have options for all the different platforms. Just remember, very importantly, that your intro movie is the first scene of the game. It can't be down here at 6th place because it has to be the first one that loads. As for these other scenes, it is important that you include them, but the order does not matter as long as they all come after the intro movie scene, which should be indexed at 0. Then before you go ahead and build, I want you to go down here to the player settings, and here you can change the icon of your game, other settings, whatever, but most importantly, you can change the company name and the product name. This is crucial because, as showed earlier, these save files use this information for where the saving is stored. So here you see I have Zwerons, and here is Zwerons, and again, Samurai vs Zombies, Samurai vs Zombies. If I keep this the same, then my mod will override the save data of my players who have like, you know, like their original vanilla data. And that's bad because that means that my mod will mess with their data, and then they'll get angry because of course I have messed up their vanilla save file. So I should change this to something else. For the company name, it's up to you. Some people use Unity. You could do your own name. You could do like the title of your mod, and then of course change your product name to be whatever that is. And then just go back to your build settings. Make sure you have your target set. So I'm gonna do Windows. You probably want to target 64-bit, so go ahead and do that. Keep both of these unticked. If you tick development build, the debug mode will be enabled. So then if you have stuff that you don't want your actual players to see, like the cheats menu, then you have to make sure that this is off, or else they will have access to that kind of stuff. And PDB is not important unless you want people to be able to like reverse engineer your game. But if you are following this tutorial, I and Zwerons officially request that if you ever release your game, you also release the source code, so your entire project source code as well with it, so that we can keep all this stuff open source and accessible for other people to also learn from. So very important, if you do release your game, make sure the source code is public on GitHub, please. More on that in a second. If you want to, you can also download the components for Android, even WebGL, iOS, I guess TV, Apple TV and Xbox One, Facebook even. You cannot export for PlayStation because you need to have a proper license, but I doubt any of you will need to do that. And then once you are content with your settings, just go ahead and click build and choose a location for it to be output. So I want it to be in a new folder called release, and it'll be called Samurai versus Zombies Supreme. And then it will start building. This will take a while because there are lots of scripts and assets, but it shouldn't take more than a few minutes. But of course, the build speed will also depend on how fast your computer is. Also, because this is Unity 2017, there are sometimes issues with Unity freezing while exporting. If your Unity freezes, as mine does when building the game, don't worry, just leave it and it will do its thing. I also have to suggest that you leave your PC while it is building, because switching to other apps can actually cause the build process to fail, as I have learned firsthand. Once it has finished exporting, it should automatically open your game folder, I guess, and there you go, there's your game. Samurai vs. Zombies Supreme. Glu intro. There's a video I changed, so there's some proof that my mod has worked so far. For some reason, it does have the D in the version title, but as you can see, I don't have the cheats menu, so I guess that's a glitch. If I start the game, I can see that I am the farmer, because I set myself to the farmer, so that's kind of funny. I can't attack flying enemies, so hopefully that's not like a soft lock. Can I even katana slash? I can katana slash. Awesome. Interestingly, if I don't have a backwards running animation, it automatically flips my character around, which also means I can't attack. So that's just a cool little detail. There you go. My victory animation. And there you go. I have unlocked both the samurai and the farmer, because that is another thing we added. As you can see, the UI has indeed remained proper. In the text file, I didn't actually give him any ranged damage until level 10, so he's not gonna be able to shoot any flying enemies, unfortunately. He's slow for some reason, so I guess I forgot to save that or something. Now's a good time to mention that the price of my allies is actually part of the texture itself, so it's not automatically added. If you want to add new allies or change the UI, you will have to add the price yourself. And there you go. And that is all I'm going to show. And there you have it. My mod is officially working and ready to share. I'll just quickly show that once again, if I go to users, my username, app data, local low, and find Kojo, here I have my save data. So if I want to, I can make backups, I can wipe it clean, I can share with my friends, you know. So there you go, you have created and now built your very own mod of Samurai vs. Zombies Defense. The last thing now to do is share it. So let's go ahead and just create a zip file from these. On Windows 11, you can just right click and there should be a compressed zip file option. I will also quickly explain, the exe is your game itself, so like people double click, so people will click on it and they will launch the game. This is necessary for you to actually run your game through Unity's, you know, player thing. And then here's all your game's data, which is where most of the storage should be. Here is 720 megabytes, so not too bad. And then all that is in a zip file, which not only packages it into one download, but you can see here it's 200 megabytes, which also reduces the file size greatly. So the best place to share your mod is in our own server. If you go to the mod share channel, you can create a new post. Well, you will need Nitro for that. So the alternative you can do obviously is upload it to GitHub like I did. This is my version of the game, which has no releases for some reason. I guess I need to add that. Just go to the original project by the decomp and recomp team, click on fork to make your own copy. Of course, make yourself the owner. I already have one, so I can't do that, but you would choose yourself. Choose a name, so like Supreme, as I did, and then you can change the description to whatever you want, and then create a fork. Once you have created a fork, you can add your files with here, add file, upload files, and then you have a link that you can send to other people and they can check out your mod. However, this is currently not playable So to do that, you have to go here to where it says tags. You would create a new release title, call it, I don't know, like initial release. The tag is your version number. So here, like GitHub suggests what you should do. So like, let's say it's your 1.0.0 of your mod, then you would do this. So then of course, go to your project release, get the zip file and drag that here. And then you can give some information like I made the farmer a hero and added the samurai, and then they'll upload. You can press publish release and then it will appear on your GitHub page for people to play. If you're wondering where that will show up, just on the right here, underneath everything, you can see the releases, and then this is where people will download your game. And of course, you can include a version for PC, for Android, macOS, whatever you want. Just go ahead and upload that, and there you go. I personally would love for more people to make mods for this game, so definitely join our server here. Again, link in the description, and just share it, and we'll check it out. Show our support, and you, of course, will learn a lot about modding, Unity, and all that good stuff. So, this has been a very long video. Make sure to show your support by liking, subscribe for more stuff regarding Samurai vs. Zombies Defense and my own fan game, which you can find on itch.io, by the way, with gameplay footage. So go check that out. Link in the description. And again, if you have any questions, you can join the Discord server and or leave a comment down below with whatever issue you have. And if you want any other tutorials for other things, like scripting, for instance, then also leave a comment down below and I will see what I can do about that. So, thanks for watching and good luck.